here in the garden for more book reviews. Let's just smash out a quick one for the 150 things we did. The two we had were Gargoyles by Thomas Bernhard, a book about like a young man following his father, who's a doctor, through a German countryside, kind of seeing all the like horrors and tragedies that like a doctor must inevitably see, seen from the perspective of the son watching it. And then about a third of the way through, they meet up with the prince of the area, who lives in this castle, and he's just has a 100-page diatribe about his hatred of the society and how he's unable to find good servants, and just the sickness that permeates like the landscape and like the people around him. And that part is very much of the characteristic of Bernhard, his sort of like unending, novel-length rants of his characters. For me, this was I've read, 3 other Bernhards, and this is probably the least of the bunch I've read. I thought The Loser was incredible. I've read 3 other Bernhards, and so this is the 4th, and this is probably the least of those 4, at least in my estimation. I loved My Prizes, probably his funniest book. It's just him being a completely, like a curmudgeon, being so perturbed that people want to give him praise, and like just for him the humiliation at having to accept this like the money that he needs to survive, but he's just like utterly humiliated by the like the process of having to accept this award. Also read Wittgenstein's Nephew. I enjoyed that one immensely. Kind of a cool insight into like that era of Vienna and sort of youth culture pre like the idea of youth culture. So I thought that was like a great one as well. What probably is considered his strongest would be The Loser, about 3 friends, one of which is Glenn Gould, and then one of which is a suicide. So it's from the perspective of the 3rd friend, who, of the 2 friends, they're all brilliant piano players, but none of them are like matching the talent and genius of Glenn Gould. So like a meditation on mediocrity, or not even mediocrity, but just a meditation on being second. And how do you live with being good, not great? It's a pretty profound book. So this Gargoyles in particular, while the back half with the rant of the prince is certainly the most Bernhard-like, following his like unending 100-page paragraph. But for me, like the best part of it was like the shift in perspective of the son of the doctor, seeing the pessimism of the people around him, and him kind of being a little more stoic than the people who complain around him, and just kind of being an observant watcher for like these cynical characters. Yeah, ultimately I don't know if I really pulled out like the punctum of the novel, like what was like the statement here. I mean, I guess like Bernhard's statement across the board is like cynicism and pessimism of humanity, but I'm not entirely convinced like that's all he's about. So I mean, that's the way Bernhard is characterized. I think he's trying to reconcile that pessimism and trying to figure out like, well, through his characters, trying to figure out how to live in a world that is gross and unjust and unfair. And then I read Ferdydurke by Gombrowicz, Polish writer. He wrote this in the between the wars, and is something of a legend in terms of like European avant-gardes. And this novel in particular was heaped with pretty high praise for me. Effectively, a satire of the Polish school system, and in it, Gombrowicz is very concerned with and kind of lamenting the loss of innocence and like the loss of he keeps saying like this is like a tribute to immaturity. He laments the loss of immaturity as people grow up. So in the book, it's like his being a 30-something, 40-something-year-old himself that's get turned into the 13-year-old version of himself, and it's just sort of it's just a number of episodes where him and his school chums just kind of do like rude and cruel things and play pranks and try to like hold on to this notion of immaturity. For myself, I think it didn't quite live up to that hype. I kind of didn't like it's supposed to be like a controversial and shocking novel, and I think the only thing that was just kind of like, oh, that's distasteful is just kind of the way they treat women. But in terms of like the uh, lampooning of school and society and the ways in which the kids act returning to immaturity, I kind of didn't understand what was so I did not understand what was so controversial about all of it. I was hoping for it to be more shocking. So maybe I missed something entirely, but for me, it didn't provoke the way I'm told it was supposed to. I'll still give his other ones a try. I have a copy of Pornographia and what's the other one? Cosmos on the shelf, and I think that's on the list, so that might come up eventually. But Ferdydurke was fine. Maybe I missed something, but I could do a little bit more.
Mendelssohn is on the roof, Yuri Weil.
You are right here.
Secret Ascension, Michael Bishop. Three Trapped Tigers, Guillermo Cabrera Infante.
All right, and then the three we selected for next are Mendelssohn is on the Roof, about Nazi-occupied Prague, and in particular this anecdote of Mendelssohn being a German composer on the roof of the opera house and them being unable to figure out which person it is, which statue is who is actually Jewish, and it's sort of like a comedy of errors of Nazi bureaucracy and idiocy, and it's been on the shelf for a long time, so we'll get to that ASAP. This is a strange one. Secret Ascension or Philip K. Dick is Dead, Alas, by Michael Bishop. A novel in which Bishop attempts to write like Philip K. Dick, and which apparently Philip K. Dick is a character in the book as well. Which maybe I should just read Philip K. Dick in general, or more, but this one in particular just seemed like such a strange entity that I wanted to get to it. So it's been also sitting here for a while in my shelves, and I'm excited to get this one. And then here's my copy of Three Tap Traggers by Infante. Also just comes highly recommended in terms of Latin American lit. This one's supposed to be a Cuban Ulysses is how it's been characterized to me. But if you're friends of Borges and Garcia Marquez and Cortázar, this is kind of one that has always been put in the same breath as those, and it'll be good to get to. So if you have any of these on the shelf and have not read them yet, read them with me, and then we can come back to them in short time. Yeah, so keep reading books. Let me know how your stacks are going. Let me know what you want to see. See you later.